Atop the world headquarters of Southeastern Fly, this is the Southeastern Fly podcast. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, click to follow. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter yet, why not? I don't know why you haven't. It's already off to a great start. Got some good information coming out. As soon as you sign up, you get hit with 4 emails in a row, one each day for the first 4 days, something like that. That kind of gives you a topic to think about. I'm not selling nothing in those first 4 emails at all. It's just something to kind of start spurring your thoughts on fly fishing, which is what we apparently are all here for. But anyway, it's off to a great start. You can sign up on the website. You can sign up on Facebook, our Facebook group. Instagram has a link pretty much anywhere. And if you can't find it, let me know. And I'll go ahead and send you a link and get you signed up, and you can start receiving the emails and the newsletters, and it's just something that helps you think about what we all love to talk and think about and do. So FYI, it's kind of evening time here. It's about 5:00 now in the evening, and it's still cold to me. I know the last time that we talked last month, I was pretty cold, and to me, it's still cold. So there you go. Introducing a new hat today that I got from FM Light and Sons in Steamboat, Colorado. One of my favorite stores of all time, because they have I don't remember, was it 1903, something like that, when somewhere in there, 1905 is when the store first opened out there. And they've got this, hope I haven't told this too many times, but they've got this display case up front on the counter that was brought out on a horse and buggy. Which is really, to me, was pretty cool. But anyway, that's my new hat, and I'm pretty proud of it. So let's dive right in with a question. And Alex was kind enough to send me a question. And Alex says, "Hi, David, it's winter." No kidding, Alex. It is winter. And I seem to spend more time tying than fishing. You haven't talked much about tying. That's true. I haven't. Matter of fact, I'm just starting to tie some myself a little more. Can you give us your take on fly tying? Thanks, Alex. Well, Alex, thank you for writing in. And my advice on tying flies is don't start. It's a trap. I mean it. It eats up your time. You end up going broke, and all you have to show for it is a few flies. Okay, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding, Alex. I hope he didn't push stop. But I will say this. You'll likely catch more fish, not because your patterns will be so great and all that. There's some other reasons that we're going to touch on there, but tying it's a slippery slope. So we got to keep that in mind. So my first thing that I'm going to talk about is organization, and organization is key. Organization of your materials, your hooks, your beads, all that stuff. I'm trying to be more organized in my fly tying life right now. I bought a cabinet over here. Then I went and bought another cabinet. It goes with my 10-drawer cabinet, which also kind of goes with my desk, my small roll top desk. And then there's even another cabinet there that I keep my hooks and beads and my other hooks in some cases there. So there's quite a bit of stuff laying around here, honestly. But anyway, trying to organize that stuff. Plus, I got my fly boxes out there that I've started organizing, and I think I talked about that a while back. So why am I telling you about organization? I'm only doing this so you'll know what you have. That was one of the things that I've got several things. Marabou is a prime example. I have a lot of marabou, and I've got a lot of the same color that I'm not going to use because the color isn't something I'm using. Maybe down the road I might, but I don't, you understand, I don't use that particular color, but I think, I need to get some of that because I don't have it because I wasn't organized, only to come back and find out, well, there was 2 more packs here. So, okay. So you want to know what you have to tie what you want, and you want to tie with the right materials. So many times, I've got a couple of friends that are this way of, you need this particular piece of material. Whatever it is, I don't care. Pick one. And they'll say, well, I've got this. That should work. I'm like, no, not really. It will work. Don't get me wrong. It's not what that pattern calls for to accurately tie the pattern. It's okay to make a pattern your own. Don't get me wrong. I've done it. We've all done it. Believe me, We've done it. I've done it. But don't tweak the why would you tweak the pattern on the first run? Why do that? Why take a pattern that you know is good and then tie it with something else? You don't have a baseline at all other than somebody saying, "Hey, this is a good pattern." Okay. Well, that looks like a good pattern, so I'm going to make another pattern and I'm not going to have a baseline at all. So get the right stuff. It's if it's proven the pattern, then tie it the way it's presented. Set that as your baseline. Set your baseline on the river, by the way, hopefully with catching a fish or two or three or 10 or 20 or whatever makes you happy. Then go about tweaking that pattern a little bit. Just don't tie with the materials that you happen to have on hand, thinking, well, it's close enough. Because that'll slow you down, especially if that pattern that you're looking at is a proven pattern. Man, don't waste time. Find a baseline. So now I'm going to circle back and say organization is the key to knowing what you have. Knowing what you have is the key to having the right materials for the pattern that you want to tie that hopefully is going to work to set that baseline. So tying makes me think of that of Abraham Lincoln because he's a smart dude or was a smart dude, and he had insights ahead of his time. And he said, "Don't just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true." That being said, just because you see a pattern on the internet doesn't mean that it's a successful pattern. Okay, obviously Abraham didn't say that about the internet, but we can say that about the patterns you see on the internet. They look cool to us and they catch us, but that doesn't always mean they're going to catch a fish. Also, don't let that start deterring you from trying to branch out and try different patterns. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be careful. Look at what works in your body of water, and then tie a few flies of a few patterns in a few sizes. Go fish them and give them a fair shot too. You want to gain confidence in your work and your fly tying. And what I mean by that, I mean confidence. I don't mean perfection. I just mean confidence. Make sure you're confident in your tie before you ever put it in the box. How many times have you tied a fly and thought, well, it's okay. I'm going to put it in there. And when you get to the river, it takes up space in your box and you look at it, you're like, yeah, I'm not trying that because I don't have confidence in my tie. If you're not confident in that fly, you'll know what I mean. If you're not, leave that on the bench. Trust me, it's not going to fish well for you 99% of the time. It won't fish well because you don't think it's going to fish well from the start. Confidence is catching fish. So how does confidence catch fish is a good question. Well, Weed Hopper, let me tell you. Good question, and it's a fair question too. Let me say that right off the bat. Confidence catches fish because you'll have that anticipation that you're going to be successful and you'll do things on the water in a more correct way that you know how to do, whatever your skill level is, whatever you know is right at this time. You'll stick more to that to try to get yourself to catch more fish. You'll get that. You'll land that. For instance, you'll get that fly to the water a lot cleaner. You'll do all those little things to get a good presentation, sometimes a great presentation. You'll adjust depths, you'll adjust the seams, you'll be more on your A game if you have confidence in that fly that you tied or that you didn't tie. But we're talking about tying flies for Alex. So Alex, if you're tying flies, take your best shots. That'll boost your confidence and you'll fish a little better. And if you don't believe me, I'm telling you, I've seen it time after time after time, and it is a great thing to see somebody confident in a fly. And we're not talking about whether or not they caught fish, because there may not be fish exactly where you're fishing every time you put the fly in the water, and that's important. Needs to be a fish there, but if not, okay, you still want to do everything right. So if I take a fly and I hand it to one of the folks that fish with me, I tell them, you know what, this fly caught fish yesterday, and I give them instructions and I get them believing in the fly. I can see it. They work harder. They make those little adjustments that they know to make. If I tell them something, they do it right away. They start fishing it well. On the flip side of that is if I hand them a fly and say something like, well, this one might work. Let's try that. Provide instructions, do all the same stuff that I do, but just don't have a fly that they would have confidence in. They still work hard. Don't get me wrong. They'll work hard, but it's for a short period of time. They'll make adjustments here and there, and then you'll see them. The shoulders will start slumping, but men's become a little sloppier. Presentation comes a little bit laxed. and they just don't show that confidence in return. They don't catch fish as much. They don't have those shots at fish that we want them to have. So as you can tell, it starts at the bench. Having confidence in that pattern, your work on that fly before you ever put it in the box matters. And if you're buying off the shelf, same thing, but we're talking about fly tying here. So let's move on to materials. Quality is king. Quality is king for materials. I learned this early from Chuck Robinson. Chuck Robinson had the fly chucker in Brentwood. Chuck is a great guy. Loves to teach, loves to talk, and just he's an interesting dude. He didn't tell me, "Hey, David, you need to buy more expensive materials." He showed me the materials that would make a difference and make my flies better. And better materials make better flies. When you're in the shop looking for materials, look through the materials. Don't just pick one off the shelf. I did this the other day. I picked one off the hook and I walked around for a little bit and I thought, I'm gonna go back and look and see what else is there in same color, same materials, same everything. As I looked through the bags, I thought this one looks a little bit better. There wasn't more in it. It just the material looked better, like it was out of a different batch or something. I'm not sure what it was, but to me it looked better. So I got it. So if you're looking at, for instance, if you're looking for marabou, what are the best tips on the marabou? Tips on the marabou, they matter. Is it are they all the stems straight, or are they a bunch of curved up mess? Is the color off, or is it what I need? And there's variations in color within certain runs of marabou, so you can look back through for instance, a yellow marabou. Let's just talk yellow, and there may be 3 or 4 different variations of yellow marabou on the same peg in the shop, and it's all labeled the same, but it's not exactly what they're not all exactly the same. Pheasant tail's another excellent example of, you want the stiffest. I want the stiffest pheasant tails for my pheasant tail flies, for the tail part and for the wings. I don't snip my wings. I use tips for wings and tips for the tail. Don't want to give away my super secret patterns or anything, and I look for the stiffest ones I could find. That little floppy mess on one side, I don't even use it. Gets tossed back into the bowl or into the vase over here, and I use it for other things. I want those stiff, nice, crisp fibers there off the pheasant tail. Same things with well, this has been driving me crazy lately is thread. I got a hold of some thread that wasn't all that great, and I knew better than to buy it. I bought it anyway, and I swear it breaks at the wrong time every time. 100% of the time, this thread it was breaking at the wrong time. Now it's in the little black garbage can right over there. And I've gone back to what I used. Don't buy cheap thread that breaks at those critical times. So go the extra mile when choosing your patterns, and don't skimp. If you have to save a little bit of money, save a little bit of money. But if you can, buy the best stuff that you can afford. Color matters, quality materials matter too. Last and not least, and this is something that since I've gotten back into tying, there's one thing. So probably I think right after this comes out, I'll be up at Little River Outfitters tying in February. I don't know. You can find it on their website, the 22nd, maybe. It's a Saturday in February. I'll be up there tying tailwater flies. And one of the things that I have to do on one of them, I'm thinking about tying, is spinning deer hair. I get asked that question every time. How do you spin deer hair? Well, I can tell you how you do it is you do it and you do it and then you do it and then you do it some more. And you don't always do it on the fly. Just get a hook and start spinning it and see what it does. Practice your fly tying. That's the big thing. One site that has some really good info on fly tying is Fly Fish Food. They've got these tutorials for different patterns and different techniques. Slide In does that as well. Their website and their YouTube has some great information on it. Kelly and his staff work hard on these videos that teach, and they don't get money for you watching these videos. They might, I don't know, but I mean, that's not their main focus. Their main focus is to teach you something, to help you get better at something. I think that's really good. If you're struggling with a technique like how to do a whip finish, well, get you a hook out, put some thread on it, and start whip finishing and looking. practice those steps maybe a couple dozen times till you get it. Spinning deer hair. I'm going to have to do that. I haven't spun deer hair in a while. I want to say in a year, but I bet it's been longer than that. And as you do that, as you spin deer hair, let's just take that for example. Well, let's take a whip finish for example. How you whip finish the head of a fly sometimes will determine whether or not you can get the tippet through that eye or not, right? I mean, I know I'm right there because I've done that, and I know we all have. Anybody that's tied to flies covered the the eye up, and you get on the river and you think, well, okay, I want to use this fly. It looks good. And then you go to put your tippet through there, and yeah, it won't go, and you have to poke around on it and get another fly, use the hook off of another fly to push it back and do all that stuff. So a clean whip finish is really worth its weight in gold if you're going to do that. So whip finish some 10, 15, 20 times and take a picture. Each time you finish one, snap a photo of it off your cell phone. And you're saying, well, why would I do that? So that you can look at your progression and say, all right, right about here, it was terrible. Here's where it started getting better. Here's where I watched the video, and here's where I am. And now I'm confident. I'm confident that that whip finish is A, going to hold up. B, it's stacked in there just right. And C, I can stop it wherever I need to so that it doesn't crowd the eye of the hook. Same thing to me goes with patterns. And I say this to anybody that asks, I kind of give them the same spill. And I know you've probably heard it here, but while you're on trying to make progress, just take a pattern, any pattern you want to tie. I don't care what it is. If it's zebra midge, fine. If it's zoo cougar, fine. If it's a woolly booger, fine. If it's a pheasant tail, fine. Whatever it is that you want to tie, for whatever reason, take any pattern you want to tie and set up the hooks and the beads and the material, set it all up to tie 12. Whatever it takes to tie a dozen, that's 12 for y'all that weren't raised up in the Southeast. Take one, tie it, get it finished all the way. Take a pick, tie another one in the exact same color, exact same hook size, exact same bead, tie the exact everything. So now you've got two, take a picture, do it 10 more times. So then you'll have a even dozen. And each time you take a picture of that fly, when that fly is completely finished, then once you're done, you can take your phone and swipe through your phone and you can just see your own progression and you'll know I've got this down, or maybe I need to tie 12 more of these things. You don't have to do it all in one setting. Matter of fact, I'd say tie 2 or 3 and then go do something else. And maybe the next night come back and tie 2 or 3 and let your brain your subconscious kind of start working on it. Your subconscious is big. Trust me, it's big on a lot of things because your conscious brain doesn't work. Mine doesn't work really quite as well as it should. And my subconscious will kick in and makes my life a lot easier. So there's 2 things that'll happen there. One, you'll progress and you'll be really good at that pattern by the time you get through this exercise. And it's where you think it needs to be as you swipe through those final photos. But B, it'll make that pattern so simple for you that you'll be able to tie it in front of folks. You'll be able to whip some out the night before you go fishing, and it won't be such a big deal. You won't feel that, oh, crap, I've got to tie these. You can feel that, I'm going to jump in there and knock some flies out so I can go fish tomorrow. That pattern to be simple, but you can also take some of those steps, Alex, and you can take those steps to the next fly that you want to tie, that next pattern that you want to tie. Some of those steps will bleed over, and then you're not learning from you're not learning off the jump every time. You're taking those skills that you've developed and moving them on to the next pattern and the next pattern and the next pattern. The next thing you know, you're spinning deer hair, you're doing pheasant tails, you're doing zebra midges. All require different skills, but there's some still basic things in there that you've just gotten really good at because you've took a systematic approach at doing it. It makes a difference. It really does. It helps your fishing. It gives you confidence. There's just a lot of things that it does. I think finally I want to talk about the folks that I've been seeing on the river. So met Austin on the river the other day. I talked to Jim the other day. We had a good conversation about the Liars and Tires group. There were a couple of Liars and Tires with me. They had a great day. Let's see who else. Oh, Miles. I see Miles on the river all the time. Miles, it's really good to see you. We need to stop and we need to fish together. Miles is not necessarily a fly angler, But super nice guy. Really enjoys talking with him. And to all the folks that I see out there and say hi to, that know me, know the boat, whatever. Thanks for stopping, talking to me. I appreciate the kind words more than you will ever know. It's good to know that people are listening to this. So appreciate all of you that listen. If I don't get to see you and you have a question, drop me a line. I had a gentleman this morning that has fished with me before that sent me a bunch of questions. He was going with his son out to fly fish before his kid went back to school. And I had a bunch of questions, and I don't mind answering if I can. And if I can't, I bet you I can find somebody that can kind of help get you in the ballpark, or at least we can start you off on the right foot to help you find the information you're looking at for. So anyway, Alex, thanks for writing in. I hope this helps you understand my take on fly tying these cold weather months, and I appreciate you asking the question. You just listened to David's take on tying flies on Southeastern Fly. See you next time.